everyone. My name is Joe Breen. I'm the Mass DOT project manager for the proposed Route 2 Veterans Memorial Bridge in North Adams. This is a bridge preservation project at Route 2 over the south branch of the Hoosick River in Route 8, and this is a design public hearing. If you would like your attendance to be part of the public record, here's a sign-in sheet on the right-hand side. We distributed some presentations. We had 25 of them. I think most of them have been used up, so if people could share them, I would appreciate that. The following is the Mass DOT Notice of Policy on Diversity and Civil Rights. If you could please read the first 3 bullets, I would appreciate that. Thank you for joining our meeting. We appreciate your participation. The agenda for tonight's meeting is the following. First, we'll go over the project location and the project context, followed by the project goals, the environmental impacts, the construction and traffic impacts, the next steps, and then a question and answer period. The presentation participants are myself, Joseph Breen, the Mass DOT project manager, and Allison Bedard, the State Bridge Preservation Engineer, Mark Moore, the District 1 Design Engineer, and Mark Diviner, the District 1 Bridge Engineer. Justin Gilmore is our right-of-way agent. And with the BSC Design Group, we have Mika Morris and Kellen Lewis joining us tonight. And the stenographer is provided by Advanced Court Reporting. I first would like to review the North Adams Bridge Preservation Project and the ongoing Route 2 overpass study. Mass DOT recognizes that the Route 2 overpass study, known as R2OS, is important to the city in its future redevelopment plans. MassDOT's recent emergency shoring kept the bridge open temporarily, but with further repairs, the bridge may be subject to an unscheduled permanent closure in the near future. The Bridge Preservation Project does not invalidate the city's study, nor should it be seen in conflict with the study recommendations. MassDOT has responsibility to the traveling public to keep this bridge open and safely operational until the city reaches a comfort level that the closure of the bridge will not adversely affect operations on the local street network. If the city and the study's recommendations need further development, MassDOT's Bridge Preservation Project will serve as a tool to give the city time to plan, fund, and implement key improvements. So why was the project initiated? I would first like to focus on the project area, where in the center of the slide we have Route 2, and in the project area is shown in red, the Veterans Memorial Bridge. And in the bottom of the photo, of course, we're at City Hall. The existing conditions are the following. On September 25th of 2023, a Mass DOT routine bridge inspection report downgraded the bridge's condition from fair to serious due to the condition of the bridge bolsters. The bolsters at piers 2 and 6 show severe deterioration, and as a result, the bridge required temporary shoring to remain open to the public. Beam ends under the bridge joints have advanced corrosion and deterioration. The concrete supports under the joints show advanced deterioration and cracking, and the failed roadway joints need to be replaced. In June of 2025, There is a worsening deterioration of the steel bolsters at concrete pier number 6. Emergency shoring was installed so that vehicles could safely travel over the bridge. On June 15th of 2025, all travel lanes on Veterans Memorial Bridge were restored. On the left-hand photo, you can see the crews installing the emergency shoring at pier number 6. And on the right-hand photo is a close-up of the shoring towers that support the bridge at pier number 6. The following photos are the show the bolster deterioration. And the photo on the left is the pier 6 beam 9 bolster. And on the right-hand side shows the bolster deterioration at the pier 6 beam 8 bolster. Following two slides show the pier and pier cap deterioration. On the left-hand photo is you can see the pier cap and the columns deterioration at pier 2. And on the right-hand photo, the pier 5 pier cap as well as the pier column deterioration. The deck joint deterioration is shown on the left-hand side at pier 2, and on the right-hand side, the deck joint and deterioration at pier 6. So what do we want to accomplish for the bridge preservation project? The project goals are to preserve the historic Veterans Memorial Bridge and extend the bridge service life. We want to reduce the potential for future deterioration. We want to complete repairs as safely and as efficiently as possible to reduce impacts to traffic. The project scope for the improvements consists of the following. We want to repair the heavily corroded bolsters, structural steel repairs, repair the deteriorated bridge joints, concrete repairs, installation of new pavement, and sidewalk repairs and other miscellaneous bridge repairs. So how has our design progressed? The following are the milestones of the project right now. We're in August of 2023. A bridge inspection and data collection was performed. In October of 2024, the notice to proceed with the design. In March of 2025, the 25% design. In June of 2025, the 75% design submission was issued for review. And tonight, in July of 2025, the design public hearing. The design updates for the 25% design for the highway plans include the wearing surface replacement, the proposed traffic management plans, and the preliminary right-of-way plans. For the 75% design, the structural plans include beam repairs, bolster repairs, deck and joint repairs, substructure repairs, temporary shoring, and other miscellaneous repairs. The environmental and cultural resource and community impacts for the project are the following. There are no anticipated wetland resource area impacts due to no in-water work. There will be minimal impacts to parkland, and there will be minimal to no impacts to historic structures and buildings. So what is the construction approach? construction approach consists of two phases. The first is to detour the eastbound traffic. The north sidewalk on the bridge will remain open, and a single 16-foot wide travel lane will be open for westbound traffic on the north side of the bridge. For the Phase 2 bridge repairs, we'll maintain the detour for eastbound traffic. The south sidewalk on the bridge will remain open, and a single 16-foot wide travel lane for the westbound traffic will be shifted to the south side of the bridge. In the next few slides, I'm going to go over this with a graphic. So for the Phase 1 bridge repair, on the south side of the bridge will be the Phase 1 work zone. Westbound traffic will be shifted to the north side of the bridge, following the red arrow. The eastbound traffic will be detoured down West Main Street to Main Street to Route 8 State Street to St. Anthony Drive to Holden Street, and then continue on eastbound to Route 2. For the Phase 2 bridge repairs, the work zone will shift from the south side of the bridge to the north side of the bridge. The westbound traffic will shift to the south side of the bridge along the dashed red line with the arrows, and we will maintain the eastbound detour, which will remain the same down West Main Street to Main Street to Route 8 State Street to St. Anthony to Holden Street, and then resume back eastbound on Route 2. So how will the road user be affected? Currently, the cross-section of the bridge is the following, where we have two 5-foot, 3-inch sidewalks on both sides of the bridge. There's a 2-foot shoulder on either side of the bridge with two 12-foot travel lanes on the eastbound as well as the westbound side of the bridge. For the Phase 1 bridge repairs, the cross-section is shown in the shaded area where the two eastbound travel lanes will be closed and one westbound travel lane. And we'll maintain the single westbound travel lane as shown on the left side of the graphic. For the Phase 2 bridge repairs, the Phase 2 construction zone will be on the north side of the bridge, and the westbound travel lane will shift from the north side of the bridge to the south side of the bridge. The proposed conditions. The project will provide sidewalk repairs on both sides of the bridge deck repairs, a new pavement wearing surface. There'll be steel repairs and substructure repairs to the pier cap and piers. So how will bicyclists and pedestrians be impacted during the project? For the Phase 1 construction detour, where the south side of the bridge will be closed, which is shown in the shaded area. Pedestrians will be able to cross Route 2 with a temporary crossing to the north side of the bridge and follow the dashed red line, and then on the east side of the bridge, cross Route 2. For the Phase 2 repairs, where the work zone is on the north side of the bridge, pedestrians will be able to use the temporary crossing to cross Route 2, and then traverse the bridge on the south side of the bridge shown in the red dashed line, and then cross Route 2 on the east side of the bridge, as shown in the following graphic. For the underbridge Phase 1 pedestrian detour, you can see the yellow shaded area under the bridge on State Street. Pedestrians that need to travel across State Street on the east side will be able to cross State Street to the west side, travel along the west side, and then cross State Street to the east side to go around the Phase 1 construction area. And for the Phase 2 underbridge work, pedestrians will be able to do the opposite and cross State Street and then traverse under the bridge along State Street on the east side and then cross State Street to the west side to avoid the construction area. I next would like to hand the meeting over temporarily to Justin Gilmore, the Mass DOT right-of-way coordinator.
Thanks, Joe. Good evening. My name is Justin Gilmore. I'm here representing the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Right-of-Way Bureau. When the Commonwealth, acting through its Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division, indicated it would accept this project for funding, the City of North Adams accepted certain responsibilities. One of these responsibilities is acquiring the necessary rights in private and public lands for the design, construction, and public use of the project. As the Community Compliance Officer assigned to this project, my role is to review and recommend procedures that the city will use in acquiring these rights. The procedures used must comply with both federal and state regulations. Affected property owners' rights are protected under Massachusetts general laws, primarily Chapter 79. And because this project is receiving federal funds, property owners' rights are further defined under Title III of the Real Property Act of 1970 as amended. The preliminary right-of-way plan submission indicates that this project requires just 2 temporary easements. Please understand, however, that the right-of-way plans are subject to change as the project design progresses. The property owners impacted by this project will be contacted by municipal officials who will present the proposed impacts to each owner and discuss the methods by which the needed rights for the project may be acquired. Frequently, municipalities will appeal for donations to minimize the acquisition costs for the community. Donations, however, are not required, and property owners are entitled to appraisal, review appraisal, and just compensation. Right-of-way documents will be provided to each owner to help them understand the acquisition process and how the project affects their property. Copies of the right-of-way plans will be made available for viewing to interested parties at this meeting or upon request. And this slide just shows the location of the proposed temporary easements. And I will hand it back to Joe.
Thank you, Justin. The next steps for the project are the following. In the winter of 2026, I'd like to have the design completed. In the spring of 2026, we'd like to advertise the project. In the summer of 2026, for the proposed project start construction. So going forward, how can we keep you informed? To reach us, you can submit email comments to the following email address at massdot.state.ma.us. For project information, you can also visit the Mass DOT upcoming events for Highway Division website at the following web address, or use the QR code and scan that on the right-hand slide. You can also submit written comments to Kerry LaValle, PE Chief Engineer, at Mass DOT, 10 Park Plaza, Boston, MA, at 02116. Attention major projects, and please reference project file number 612505. I would now like to start the Q&A period, and if we could please start with any elected officials that are here tonight. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Are there any?
Yeah, certainly. I'm Andrew Fitch, I'm a city councilor here. I was just curious, with the current shore-ups that are in place, how much time do we have with the bridge as it is? And with this projected project, how much time would we have with the bridge? We were talking about one of the goals being extending the life of the bridge.
Mark, do you want to?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to give you a time frame because we don't know how quickly things are going to deteriorate. The shoring that we had to put in, originally we went in and we had issues at that Pier 6. And the more severe areas were on the outside, and that's when we put the barriers on. We went back for a future inspection about 6 months later, and the bolsters on the interior beams got a lot worse. So right now, Pier 6 is in decent shape as far as the bolsters. There is also deterioration at Pier 2. If that advances more, then we may have issues over there, which is Pier 2 is over in the driveway, the gated driveway in Masmoka. So that may be the next area that has issues. There's also severe deterioration of the concrete columns and pier caps. So it's hard to say. We do this project and we're looking to get at least 25 years on a preservation project.
It depends, 10 to 25 years.
10 to
is the
25 years
general.
is what we're looking for to extend the life of the bridge with preservation project.
The last preservation that was done in this bridge was the 1990s, to kind
Right.
of give you a sense. This is a second preservation, we're not gonna get quite the same duration. We're just trying to give you enough time for whatever the future is here.
And I would like to point out that if we have to come back out and do more shoring, the shoring that was installed, if you take into account the materials that we had, we're probably looking at $400,000. Something future may be more than that.
Thank you.
Probably should just clarify that this is a municipal bridge and
It
the
is.
repairs are the responsibility of the city. MassDOT was able to come in and help with the shoring this time, but there is no
There's no
certainty
guarantee
or
of that.
commitment that that would happen in the future, so the city would need to be ready to
And
repair.
I will say that Pier 6 is a lot taller, or Pier 2 is a lot taller than Pier 6. So that $400,000 cost, if it was done today, is probably $500 to $600.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Brian Sapienza, City Council. One of my concerns is during the detour is the burden that's going to be placed on the State and Marshall Street intersections. Right now, that light, when it turns red, we have traffic backed up at least a half mile to a quarter mile down State Street. And my concern is that during the phase of construction, when you have all the westbound traffic, or the eastbound traffic going down the ramp past this building, how much more of a burden it's gonna put on that intersection. I can see having to either reprogram those lights and make adjustments to those lights in that intersection. It's like a two-section intersection because you have American Legion Drive and State Street are both on the same set of lights, basically. And that would be my concern, and I think I don't want to speak out of turn for the mayor, I think that was the mayor's concern of sending like tractor-trailer trucks up our main street, especially, you've got 53-foot-long tractor-trailers going up the middle of the street, and having them be able to make the curve safely around so they can get to, continue their eastbound travels.
So there's one good thing about a lot of our construction projects is we do have, like covenants that we make sure that the contractor works with the town and MassDOT. We work all together to, alter the timing of lights, to tweak things in the city's best interest. So we will take that under advisement and work with the city going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Please.
Just one more follow-up, and I'm guessing this is on a lot of our minds. You mentioned the Route 2 overpass study, and this not conflicting with that, but if we're talking about getting another 10 to 25 year extension out of this bridge, Well, I guess the question is, why are we talking that way? Because the recommendation of the study was the tear down option, so, you know, you mentioned that this doesn't conflict with that, but.
Right, so
But does it?
the proposed project, nothing, we do this for a living. A lot of these projects, they take a long time. You know, it's infrastructure, it's design, permitting, funding. We're just trying to have this project to make the bridge safe and travelable, give the city enough time to do their due diligence on the study, go through what is best for the city, and, you know, they're both working in unison together, so, that's how we look at that to help the city.
And I'd just like to add that whatever the outcome of your study is, you still have to go through the design process, you still have to find the funding, and you still have to get through construction. That most likely is 5 to 10 years down the road before you have that project completed. This bridge is not gonna last. In its current condition, it's not gonna stay open for 10 years. You know, you're lucky it's open now.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Yes, sir.
So if this work happens next summer, and then we were magically able to accelerate, you know, a process, or, you know, aggressively, ambitiously accelerate a process to get this done, like all of the design and engineering and permitting and fundraising and all of that stuff done in 2.5, 3 years, can we just tear it down then?
As a realist, I doubt that would happen in 2.5 years. It's just, the
Yes,
project's-
no,
they take a long
no,
time.
I get that.
Yes.
I just meant beside the point is like, are we required to, by doing this fix, are we required to keep it for any amount of time? Or could we like literally, you finish it, we can tear it down the next day?
Yes.
The
I
city
believe in
has
theory,
to-
yes.
Yeah.
It's a city
Yes,
asset,
you
that's
could.
what you wanna
Yes.
do.
Yes,
Okay, yes.
Yeah, it's municipally owned.
yes. Okay.
Kind of just two questions. One's following up on Councilor Sapienza. Before you did the shoring up back in June, one of the things, and the bridge was much narrower, there were detour signs for tractor trailer trucks that were constantly ignored. Are tractor trailer trucks gonna be able to use it under this while you're doing the work? Or is there gonna have to be a detour that's enforced?
I'm pretty sure, based on the shoring, that the tractor trailer trucks can use the bridge for that westbound travel lane.
So, I'm gonna jump in there, the detour for the tractor trailers was because we had to put a weight limit on the bridge. When we reduced it down to the 2 lanes with the barriers, we had a weight limit also. So that's why there were detour signs for the tractor trailers. Once that shoring system was put into place, we were able to remove that weight limit. So right now, the plan is through construction, there will not be, unless something happens in the future that's not addressed, there will not be a weight limit on the bridge during construction.
And then just a minor question on the next steps. It says design winter 2026 and then advertising spring 2026. Should that be 27? Should it be winter 26, spring 27, and summer 27?
So we hope to have the design finished this coming winter,
Okay,
the end of 25, early 26.
okay, gotcha.
And then we have to prepare the project for advertisement, which is a whole process we have to go through in the papers and the bidding process, and then hopefully we'll start.
Okay, it was just the way I was
Oh,
reading
yeah,
it.
that's, yeah, I totally agree, thank you.
That's fine, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so DOT's sole position is to repair the bridge.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, because there's talk that it's cheaper to tear it down than it is to fix it. I know.
This project is
Okay.
preservation, which is essentially roof
Okay, now this is off the wall. If the bridge was converted to strictly pedestrian use, would repairs be needed?
Yes.
Yeah, there are issues, again, with the substructure, if you go, when you look at the pier columns and the caps, the concrete's missing, you can see the rebar is deteriorated, there's section loss in it, there's section loss in the beam ends, the bolsters, if you look in your report or handout there, there's nothing left to it, essentially.
Would it be as much repairs?
I don't think it'd be as much, but I can't say that for sure.
Please.
I just have concerns, it's not a question, it's concerns about, I think on one of these diagrams, it shows a temporary crosswalk at the top of the bridge on the west side, am I right about that?
It's off the bridge.
Yeah.
And we're gonna install per design, a crosswalk with a, it's like the flashing lights when people approach them, and a painted crosswalk for people. And it's off the bridge and away from the construction zone.
So clearly, this whole project is just about the bridge and not looking at the rest of the traffic patterns that are surrounding that bridge.
We look at the traffic patterns to optimize the detours, and we try to minimize, as you can see on the westbound travel, we're maintaining one lane, and, have the same eastbound detour for the whole project. So we try to minimize the impacts to the community, and, try to accelerate the construction project for the contractors, which a lot of the contractors now, they really have accelerated their work. A long time ago when some projects were in force.
What is the estimated completion?
We project the project would be about 2 years in duration.
Cost?
Right now, the cost is 18 million, I believe. Yes.
Two-part question. My first is, I'm interested if you're familiar with the traffic studies that were part of this city commissioned study to our alternatives. Have you studied those traffic studies?
I did go through the presentation that was presented and all the different options, so yes, I did.
And are you familiar with the polling of the community and the views?
Yes, I am.
What was it to your recollection?
Do
Do you recall?
I'm sorry, what's your,
I mean, the polling in regard to the community's
oh, the
desire to either repair the bridge or to remove and repair.
I went through the R2OS study website, and they pretty much present their point of view, and that's,
I am just so struck, there's such a wonderful community process happening, and they're not
It is.
talking, the communication's not happening. And I'm also struck to be in a community that has such an overwhelming consensus, once educated, on not investing our collective dollars in this path. So I really encourage you to look at the polling of our community and to understand how those who have become educated on that topic feel about it.
we'll work with the mayor even more than we have.
But the people of the community
And
more.
the people of the community. So we work with the mayor, and who's a representative of the people, and we'll work with.
But if you see the polling of the actual people, you will know how the people feel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a follow-up to that, because I think, I agree that as a community member, we've been invested in this for a while and have listened and looked at the bigger picture. That was my point earlier, is that we have to look at the bigger picture. The concern of spending 18 million, is that right, 18 million? Couldn't that be put toward restructuring that bridge? I mean, I don't see why the community at large is feeling this is not what they want.
So our project is to preserve the bridge, to make sure that the traveling public can utilize the bridge, and allow the city to continue forward with our R2OS study. And 5-8 years from now, if, the city wants to pursue, as the city would like to do.
Why are those our timelines and your timelines are like 1 year you build it?
Because we already have a bridge in place, and we're just repairing.
We're farther along the design phase, we have project funding available. This didn't just start last year.
Certainly.
We've been working on this for a while.
It presented the
And we-
opportunity for our community was this.
We know the typical design timelines and the funding the funding delays and stuff like that. And again, our best guess is that you're 5 to 10 years away from having this bridge torn down.
Why are you guessing
traffic
on the
detour.
alternative timelines? Why are you guessing on what the community wants and instead?
We're not guessing what, we've said that this project is to hold this bridge until such time that the city can make the decision and implement a project.
But that's not 25 years.
But that's, so, we're not saying it's 25 years. We're saying that a preservation project typically will hold that bridge for 10 to 25 years. We're not saying it has to be there for that long. We're saying we're gonna hold the bridge and keep it open until the city is able to do what they want. That's what we're saying.
Joe, if I could clarify as well. There are different funding sources within state and federal program that are allocated to specific categories. And I've seen in comments about this funding could just be switched. But that's not the case. This funding is not available for anything except bridge preservation. And if we don't put it on this bridge, these two could tell me how many bridges are in the state. But
Yes.
there's lots of bridges that would love this funding. So that's not, we could fix the bridge or we could not fix the bridge, but the R2OS still has funding allocations that need to be secured, and that's what this will provide time to do.
Mark, can I follow up on that too?
Please.
I'm John Barrett, State Representative. I was there in 1993 when we did that bridge as mayor. It was a mess. It took time. There was problems getting through there. But I think what you don't want to mix up here is the state DOT has been very good. I went to them and asked them, can you shore up the bridge so you could keep it in use and keep it going? Because I'll tell you, if they close the bridge tomorrow, which could happen, if that bridge is closed tomorrow, what are you going to do? You've got to have a plan in place. If this city wants to decide to rip this bridge down in 10 years, they can do it, because it's your bridge, but it's not your money that's fixing it. And the state's been very good, so the state is coming in now and saying, listen, we would like to move ahead with this plan. It will keep it open. Now, does that mean answering your question, Eric, and yours, Ben? Does that mean if you come up with a plan in 5 years that you can find the $300 million or whatever and do all the other work? Go for it.
That's not the number, you're not.
I don't know what the number is. I threw a number out there. I have no. No, I don't, I shouldn't. I'm not involved in that, Ben. There's two different things. Now, don't confuse it.
Okay, it's not $300 million.
What it's saying is that right now, this bridge, if it isn't move ahead and fixed, you gotta go to the national government, that'll be fun, and ask them to change Route 2, because it's a national highway. Where are you gonna run Route 2? That has to be looked at. Where are you gonna do to look at all the turns that have to be put in and implement them? All of those things have to be done, but it has nothing to do with what's here tonight. What is here tonight is, can we keep this bridge in use for the next 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, whatever it may be, so our economy isn't disrupted, so the trucks can move through and plants can move ahead. That's all it is. Don't confuse what's going on here. And if I'm wrong on this from the state's end of it, let me know. But willingly, we've been able to pursue $19 million to fix this thing for now. And if we don't fix it, what is the alternative? And what will the impact be on the economy, on tourism, and anything else? What will the impact be on traffic going to Mass Ave or other places? I don't know. All I know is, and I'm not for or against anything, but I am for at least stabilizing this bridge and keep it in use. Because that's what it's about, keeping this bridge in use. It doesn't have anything to do with the plans that are being discussed in the community now. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with keeping this bridge open and in use. And that's the best way to proceed. And thank God that the DOT's ready to, it took me 11 years back in the mid-'80s to get the money to fix the bridge. We have an opportunity now to get this money, fix the bridge, move ahead with the plans for anything else. Because it's the city's bridge. And you have to remember that. It's the city's bridge. So, but it has nothing to do with these other arguments. And as I said, if the governor comes up a couple weeks ago and all of a sudden dumps a couple of $100 million on anything that you want to do, that's fine. That's fine. But in the meantime, we've got to keep that bridge open.
With so much respect, John and Mark, I just think that we have studied an alternative and we have answers to the questions that John just raised. And we are so lucky to have a visionary leader, Linda Christie, who has brought some great opportunities along with the city's collaboration to spend almost $1 million studying exactly that. And we overwhelmingly, once educated, not only those who originally felt that there was an alternative, but everyone, I mean, to an overwhelming degree, saw better economic opportunities, better tourism opportunities, as a business owner, much better business opportunities, as a real estate owner, much better opportunities for the real estate in downtown, new housing opportunities. There's a lot of compelling study that was done. And if the communication happens and the parties speak, perhaps it's the case, Mark, that this funding is not available for that. But this funding will become blood money if we use it to secure a fate for 25 years that will essentially arrest our development further in a way that we have now been illuminated through this incredible study to understand the opportunity we have. So I so appreciate the work. It's also just disheartening to know that there's not as much awareness of the depth of the study that's been done, and also our community's desire, which is overwhelming. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm assuming somewhere on your website there, you can get copies of the deck.
If you leave your email address, I could try to send a couple PDF files for that.
And let me just,
Sure.
taking Representative Barrett's comments and the engineer's comments, what I'm hearing is that if we go forward with the reconnecting study, the bridge, unless we do these repairs, won't last that long till we get to the construction of that.
I don't believe it will.
Okay.
Honest opinion, I don't believe it will.
All right, and just as a side question, these pictures were very illuminating. Is most of the decay from salt runoff?
Yes, and part of the repairs are to repair the bridge joints
Yeah.
to have more of a water management issue
Yeah,
than salt.
the bridge joints, as soon as I saw those pictures
Yeah.
in parent, so,
Most of the deterioration is underneath those bridge joints.
I'm sorry?
Most of the deterioration is underneath those bridge joints.
Yes,
If I could just ask for clarity one more time, I want to be sure, following up on Mr. Kern's question. There is no fine print in either the state or federal tax dollars which state that once all this money is spent on this repair, this bridge needs to remain there for X amount of years. There's no fine print to that.
That is correct.
That is
Yeah,
absolutely correct.
it's the city's bridge. This is funding that will just maintain the bridge so that the city can do their study and however you want to pursue in the future, your study for the Archer West study. Yes.
Yeah, just to the question, a little clarification about, there had been a study that an overwhelming number of people in the city responded to that did not want to follow this particular path.
Those who participated.
I didn't, well, how many people, you said an overwhelming number of people in the community.
Participants.
How many? You said an overwhelming number of people in the
Read the
community.
study.
Well, how many? You said overwhelming number.
And to be honest, to my recollection, I apologize for not having a specific number.
Okay.
To my recollection, we were asked, how do people feel about maintaining the bridge? And to my recollection, 30 were opposed to maintaining it, 3 were in favor of keeping it. To my recollection, given the option to restitch and replace after becoming educated through these community forums, which taught me a lot, and there's a lot to be learned.
Okay.
To my recollection, it was 54 in favor of the alternative, and it was 4 opposed.
Okay, thank you, that's my recollection as well. 50 people is not an overwhelming number of people in the North Adams community.
54 people it is.
That was very misleading what you said before, because you said it was an overwhelming number of people in the community that did not support this project. I never heard about it, my husband never heard about it, I don't know how many people here heard about it, so that's not an overwhelming number of people in North Adams, that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
would have to agree. I'm 79 years old, I've lived here my whole life. I didn't hear of any study, no one asked me, I didn't
Who
give
did
my
the study?
opinion.
Well, they're public forums.
Widely available.
50 people is not overwhelming number of people in North Adams. That's all.
Hello, my name is Alice Bojanowski. I bought a fixer-upper on Tyler Street, North Adams, 5 years ago, right before the pandemic. I came and moved here from West Palm Beach, Florida, where I had been a traffic engineer, public involvement person. I have credentials. My credentials are a master's degree in landscape architecture and a master's degree in community planning. I've been a volunteer here since I got here. I've been trying to keep informed since this is what I had done down in Florida. I have gone to the city's website. I've gone to the the town of Williamstown's website. I've gone to the town of Adams website to try to keep myself informed. I know that's a lot of work to do, but I think everyone here is doing a very good job, trying very, very hard to get this word out to the whole community. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you very much.
A follow-up to Representative Barrett. I wanted, if it's been repaired, this is the second time, correct? How are we not gonna see that if this bridge is to be here for an extended period of time, whatever that looks like, how are we not gonna be here again? Because it seems like whatever has been done didn't work when it was built. It failed in the 90s. Now we're here to do it again.
Right, so, as you know, vehicles travel 24 hours a day, year-round. We have extreme weather, cold, heat, things degrade over time. 10-year period, it goes fairly quickly, and we have to, keep maintaining the bridge. The bridge gets older, it's about a 50-some-odd-year-old bridge. So we're just trying to maintain it for the public, to keep it safe, and keep, Route 2 operational through downtown.
Don't may I notice that?
Please.
That proper maintenance extends the life of the bridge too. We did a project in the 90s. If the joints had been repaired when they started failing, we may not be in the situation we're in today. We may still have 15 to 20 years of life before we could be at the point that we're at now. If this project is done and the bridge stays there, which a lot of people obviously don't want, but if it does stay there, if proper maintenance is done, that's how you extend the life of the bridge. If you're not doing that, if the city who is the owner is not doing that, that's where you're running into problems.
How do we decide when a city owns a bridge and when the state owns it? I've always wanted to know that. Can you help me with that?
That's not really an easy question. I mean, there's been various laws and acts throughout the years that, bridges have moved around as far as ownership. So it's not a cut and dry answer.
And I'll follow up on that too. The Hadley Overpass is owned by the state.
Right.
Took about 10 years to fix it. That's not this group, of course. And then when they did the Veterans Memorial Drive, that was part of the urban renewal project. And the state, I think the feds might have come in on that money, I'm not sure, at that time, because it was part of urban renewal. So they came in and they constructed it and whatever, but the deal was the city had to take it, which probably was the worst mistake they ever made, but they made it. In 1993, we faced a deteriorating bridge after some 30 years, I believe, at that time. And you're right, about 10, 12 years ago, I guess, whatever you call them, started to rot and fail. But again, I go back to this, I'm just looking for state money to get in here to keep this bridge alive until such time the community decides what they want. I think that's what it's all about in the end.
State their name, sorry, I should have mentioned that before, please, for the record.
Thanks, Representative Barrett. Thank you all. My name's Christy Evans. This is the first time I've seen page 39. I am the director of MASMOCA currently. Page 39, which talks about the preliminary right-of-way. Those two yellow, one of the things that I appreciate very much is that distilling complex information into digestible, easy to understand chunks is part of what you're providing us with. But there must be radically detailed analytics underneath those two right-of-ways. This is the first time I've seen this, nor heard about it, nor So for the community, and, you know, obviously, we have higher level aspirations for the future of our community. We're trying to move into position. These two preliminary right-of-way situations in the timeline that you're talking about will prevent MassMocha from installing any additional exhibitions in the museum for a period of time. There is no alternative way for us to reach the top end of the factory building. There is no way for us to yet comprehend the contractual obligations for those works of art coming in, coming out, and the tourism attendance that falls on from there. This, for me, will become an urgent reality of if we can continue to maintain our economic impact progress. We know it's not perfect, y'all, but we know that it's what we do have. This will utterly imperil your museum.
So right away, Justin Gilmore is here with the right away group, and it is, as you know, a temporary easement, and I'm sure once they get to that process, they could look at possibly, you know, even,
Having a conversation, maybe?
yes.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you won't have access through there. We can work on that and see what kind of access can be provided. It doesn't mean that it's strictly for use by the contractors during that 2-year time period. If you come to us and say, I need access through there, limited access through there to move stuff in and out, I'm sure we can look at that and work with you and try to get you that access. We're not here to, you know, hamper your business and your, you know, what you want to do in the future.
Understood, it's not about hampering, but even I, in what has been for you guys a multi-year study, this is the first time I've heard about any of that, which definitely has a different scenario. We have spent the majority of our time in deep analytics across various other systems that would obviously create what I believe the community's, a restoration of the community's intelligence before urban renewal. But in the immediate term of this, it does have a very significant, immediate, yellow highlighted impact that I'm flagging for the record so that it will be followed up on, because these are planned multiple years in advance.
I understand that. I'll make note to our right-of-way group, and we'll work with you to minimize as much as possible any type of impact. It's mostly just for access for the workers.
I do have one other question. On the necessary rerouting of traffic during your proposed repairs, will there be any reinforcement, particularly on West Main Street? Because West Main Street is the area in which you are diverting the majority of.
Yes.
Does that come with enhancement to that road system, anything around there, just because it does reconnect, ironically, Main Street? And those could be investments that are actually quite useful to our future.
So as we mentioned before, the traffic signaling will be reviewed and optimized to keep traffic flowing as best as possible throughout the duration of the project. As I said before, a lot of the contractors, they do accelerate these processes quite a bit, and they work almost year-round to get them done quickly. And it's just areas of the bridge that are deteriorated, and that's all we're showing.
For wait, 18 million.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm Matthew Kovler. I'm a North Adams resident. What struck me is the adjective historic when applied to the Memorial Bridge, and I was wondering two questions. One, is the funding tied to historic bridges, the current funding?
The current funding is just tied to bridge preservation.
Now, my second question, to the best of my knowledge, unlike many era bridges in Western Massachusetts that are documented in the Historic American Engineering record, this bridge is not a historic bridge, so why do you call it that?
answer that.
Oh, please.
I used to work for HAER, Habs Hair, in Washington DC, which is the Historic American Engineering Record. This has not been listed with them. Thank you.
It's just not.
I guess we should have used that historic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was historic in the sense it was, there's never been a bridge before that we built
In
there.
a tragic sense, in a very tragic sense. Historically tragic.
Is a memorial to the veterans.
I just want to clarify where the money is money coming out of the TIP program, or is it separate funding?
It's, the federal bridge program that the state, uses for bridge
So
preservation.
it's not coming out of the TIP?
Well, it's not coming out of regional
Regional
target
TIP.
money. It is
Correct.
part of the TIP. It's part of the state portion
Part
of
of
the
the state,
TIP.
Yes, yes.
City Councilor.
Yes, I have a question, and I'm gonna ask this as an employee of KM Toyota that's at the top of the bridge. How is that going to affect that particular area, right where the traffic's gonna split? So if you look at Route 2 corridor, right where the bridge ends, on the north side of the highway, that's where our business is. And I'm just curious how that's going to impact our operations as far as being able to access and exit that parking area.
We haven't done a full traffic study, but
I can answer for you, Joe. So I think of those two, that there will be some restrictions in one of the phases of one of the two driveways. That the driveway further west will be open at all times, be able to turn right and turn left coming out of that driveway. The driveway that is closer to the Massimoka Drive and the river will have some restrictions. One, during the first phase, you will not be able to turn. Obviously, you won't be able to turn left. You'd have to turn right and then take a left onto West Main Street. And then during the second phase, I think it will have to be closed because the work zone will extend at that area. So one of the two drives will remain open throughout.
Okay. Because the east parking lot, I'm speaking as the business, as an employee of the
Yep.
business, that east parking lot is where our primary parking is, and the west side of the building is like temporary drop-off, and if you're getting a sticker or something like that, it's a temporary drop-off, but our main parking area for both customers and employees is that eastern parking lot.
And as an abutter, we can definitely reach out and have that conversation about directions.
Sorry, just one other thing.
No, we're here, there's many
Yeah.
questions you have.
As we follow up into discussions of, you know, let's say designing for multiple futures, this would also indicate that the detritus and dust and various things coming from will require us to remove Big Bling, the iconic sculpture that is here. Also, the tail end of the Massimoka Galleries and the outdoor public art, the Franz Wests and others, will need to be removed for their own safety, which I currently don't have any funding to do, I'm just sharing. Otherwise, we jeopardize the works. Yeah? Okay, so that's another incoming reality for Massimoka and our community, our nomenclature and our symbolism associated. Thank you.
I'm curious what the process is when determining the easement zones and your assessment that they'd have limited to no impact on said property owners or associated businesses, given that Massimoka had no awareness that those zones were being studied, and what's referenced by Christy Edmonds right now and many other impacts that I can identify and will spare you all from, but there are numerous. How do we get to this point in the design without a conversation with the implicated, stakeholders in a project? And while appreciated that there would be coordination for limited access, we use that backgate every day for the livelihood of our $20 million operation and position in this community. So what is the process to get to the point to determine that that's where it is without consult?
Joe, unless you want to answer.
No, go ahead.
So this is actually the first part of the process per federal requirements under the National Environmental Policy Act. So we actually can't talk to property owners until we conduct the public hearing. So this is the very first part. We're just starting this process. And that this the conclusion of this will open the doors for us to start those discussions with property owners individually.
And are they discussions with possible different outcomes, or are they just courtesy discussions to get to a point where we figure out how to manage this outcome?
Want to answer that?
Yeah, no, there are discussions that basically inform you of your rights throughout this process. Other than that, I'd have to defer to Kellen as to why the easements are there. Sorry, was there another question or a specific?
No, that didn't answer my initial question, so I don't have another one.
I think, so to answer the question typically is that, for this project specifically, in those two easements, there is no work occurring in that area. That strictly that these easements are necessary to get underneath the bridge. There's no way for a contractor to transfer, or there's limited access for them to transfer their equipment and their staging in order to get underneath that area. So it is really a matter of transportation, that they would be using those two areas to drive through in the same way that any other vehicle using the property would drive through. That they're not staging equipment or items in those areas, that they're using it to access underneath the bridge. That's the purpose of those two easements, is just to get equipment and laborers underneath the bridge, so that they can perform the repairs underneath. That there was never any work proposed to occur within those zones.
I think we should probably reinforce the statement made earlier that this is a municipal bridge, that the city is responsible for acquisition of the right-of-way for us to undertake this project, and there will be a city process that will have to take place that, again, this process starts that ability for us to have dialogue with the city to help them through their process. But this is not the last time you will hear about this project.
Any other questions?
I have a couple thoughts. One is, I'm sure there's like a history and a typical way you do things, but I just feel like this discussion we've had tonight has indicated a really serious gap in communication and, sharing what's going on, that you've been wherever working in what is a credible way, but without a lot of information that may have been useful to you. I don't know where to lay the responsibility for not getting that dialogue to happen, but it's not healthy, and it's setting up a situation where people feel like things are going on, and, people are just going, well, you can take the $19 million, or we won't. That's not a good, healthy dialogue, and that's not what I think you want either. We should be saying, how can we work together? But a lot of what I'm taking away is there's not a lot of working together. We got the money, we think we can do this project, and you can turn it down, and your bridge is gonna fall apart. That's, The second comment I have is that if you've invested $19 million, even though there's nothing written in a law, and somebody comes soon after the work is completed, or before, and says, well, actually what we want to do is take that bridge down. People are gonna go, wait a minute, we just used $19 million to fix it. It will become a barrier, even if it's not a legal barrier. And so there's implications to this. There's implications, I think people have tried to say this, I'm just gonna try to reinforce that the other study looked at the economic impacts to the city and how these choices could open up economic opportunities for the city. You did not do that, I'm not blaming you for that, but I think that's a different perspective, and it's one worth considering. And I think a really healthier dialogue, even these right-of-way issues, people should not have been so surprised at this meeting and felt that other things that were going on of significance did not get your attention. And maybe you didn't know enough about them, maybe there was some other communication gap that should not have happened.
I just think the important thing is what Representative Barrett was saying earlier, is we need to accept the money from the state, fix this bridge, keep it going, because you were saying you don't know how much longer it could go without the work. And if we can get the bridge repaired, keep the traffic moving, keep things going, it gives us the time to decide what we want to do down the road. So you have the best of both, really. And I think that's the best way to go.
But I think too, you have to understand what was said too, is you're correct. And that the onus falls back to the city to make the decisions. These are city decisions that have to be made. Right now, as a state representative, I'm trying to get money into the street. If we don't take that 19 million, the old saying, it's gonna go someplace else. But I think that it's very important, all right, for the entire district right now to have it. It's nothing to do with this other group's doing. It's great what you're doing, and the thinking down there. I was part of that process many moons ago, and you should continue that. But in the meantime, let's not fold the tent and preclude ourselves to keeping this area open up economically, because you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking, where are you gonna run the traffic if that bridge goes down? There'll be a plan. Are you gonna go down Mass Ave? Are you gonna go down Main Street? Where are you gonna go? In the meantime, for the next 6, 7 years. And I think those are the things that have to be taken. So to get us from here to there, we gotta build a bridge.
And this buys the city that time to do that.
Buys the time that city to do it, and to do the open process that you're talking about back there. You know, I don't think the traffic jams are gonna be any worse than they are at State Street. When the light turns red, they're backed up. I think we should work on a lot of things.
You have an answer to the question. Right, question one.
I just want to say, I think there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance in saying that it will be the city's decision in 10, 15 years down the line, when the city is, obviously the result of public will, and public will to overturn a status quo that's been around for 70 years is an extremely difficult thing to turn or to do anything with. And I think the public imagination has been, among all the people that I know in North Hadley, by the possibility that this bridge is going to come down and restructure things for the better in the city. And this would essentially force the hand of the bridge being here for another 25 years or 30 years or longer. And I say this as somebody who appreciates very much state funding coming in, you know, for investing in the community here. There's been a lot of wonderful things that have happened because of that, and I appreciate that money. But this seems to be something which is it's not realistic that this is going to give us a decision. It's going to basically force a decision ultimately in 10 years.
I've heard mentioned tonight from state representative and multiple people, and you yourself, about this is the city decision. And sadly, our city leader is not here tonight, nor is anyone else here to speak from the city. It's just us. Our mayor is not in the room. Can I ask how much collaboration has your organization and the city or the mayor spent on this plan?
Sure. Mark, you can elaborate on that.
Sure. So Mass DOT has met with the mayor and staff after each R2OS study. After each presentation of R2OS, we've been debriefing with the city afterwards. We have been in dialogue with the mayor's office about this project and what we all view as the apparent contradictions between R2OS and this project. And so she's been fully invested in each decision-making process to get to this point.
Okay, just was a follow-up, and I asked that question because I believe it was Virginia who asked during a recent city council meeting how this meeting was scheduled prior to the community's meetings being wrapped up. I believe that Virginia might be able to clarify me with that, and I believe the answer was this in no way at all affected it. This was simply a backup plan. Those were her words. This was a backup plan. So again, I'm asking, this seems to not be backup anymore, but be the plan, and I'm gonna go back and quote that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what was stated. So I find that surprising. I appreciate your candor, but I find it surprising that this has been the plan even before the other studies were completed. So that anyway, thank you.
Yeah, I was just wondering where the funding would come from, since this is city and state trying to work together for things like this easement that wasn't known about. Say if there is art moving that costs a lot of money, I mean, who bears that expense? Who bears the expense for maybe a new parking lot situation for somebody whose business is gonna be impacted for 6 months?
It's gonna be the municipality who's gonna be responsible for the cost.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just doing the math on the $19 million 25-year fix, and what was the cost of the 2-year fix that we were, it was $400,000?
The fix that we just did,
Yeah,
so we've done a couple things. We went out and we had to restrict traffic earlier. There was costs associated with that, and then for the shoring system that's under Pier 6, when you take into account the material that we had on hand and add that to the other hard costs, if the city had to bear those costs themselves, that probably would have been about $400,000 for that one pier location. There are other pier locations that are deteriorating, and there's other locations where the bolsters aren't bad, but the concrete is bad. So,
well, thank you, and thank you for all the repairs. I think I just see sort of a black and white presentation of two very extreme different cost scenarios, and I wonder what a 3-year solution or a 5-year solution, or being familiar with construction, understanding what's happening there in terms of temporary shoring. Why is it the case that we're viewing it as having this very hard time frame, you know?
It's hard to do a couple repairs and say, okay, this is gonna be 4 years, or 2.5 years, or 1 year, or 6 months, or 2 weeks. So when we do a engineering study, we review what's deteriorated on the bridge, and we look at the costs to repair them. And this is just an approximation of the year, the duration that the repairs will last. So it's just a kind of a guide that Allison, the bridge preservation engineer, is giving us, 17 to 25-year period roughly.
Feels like we're giving two choices that are so extreme, and the
So-
community desire is kind of in the middle.
So, when you're doing bridge repairs, whether you want it to last 2 years or 10 years, a lot of them are similar repairs. You can't really shortcut them, especially in the case where you have holes in these bolsters and there's no load path. The shoring is a temporary measure. That can't be federally funded. So this funding can't be used to shore the whole bridge. That's coming out of, the district has been gracious enough to assist with that. That's their,
that came out of my budget.
his state budget.
That I had plans to use elsewhere.
So that's the difference, is that's, if we're going to do a preservation project, it has to meet a federal standard of preservation.
If I can go back and just, how long would that bridge last if the city said no tomorrow?
Again, John, that's a tough timeframe to like pinpoint. There is deterioration, like I said, in Pier 2, which is similar to Pier 6. It's just not as bad at this point. Again, we're inspecting that bridge every year. I could get a report next year and look at the numbers and be like, I gotta turn around, I gotta run some numbers, and I could come back next year and say, no, that's gotta be short too, or closed. And again, it is a city-owned bridge. Technically, repairs and maintenance are on the city.
Which you basically put on life support system.
Yes, yes.
Perhaps a silly question. So for a year plus, there were the K-rails there, what do you call them here? California, that's what we call them. The barricade things.
The concrete barrier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a 2-lane road for an extended period of time. And part of the study, R2S study, identified that this is the only place where Route 2 is a 4-lane road between Williamstown and Greenfield, right? Is there a faster, cheaper, easier option that makes it a 2-lane for a while?
We have to maintain the existing bridge structure, and Allison, as you mentioned, you can elaborate a little bit more about, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys wanted to, as the city, do repairs to only certain girder lines, whatnot, that wouldn't be considered a full bridge preservation project, so it wouldn't get the same funding.
Okay.
And
I
so,
think the other part is, the repairs are in the middle.
yeah.
So if it was the outside and we squeezed it to the inside, that'd be great, but to the middle, so it just takes the whole bridge out.
Yeah. Stuart Burns, I live in North Adams. I'm confused about the advocates for not doing this repair. And guess, moving forward expeditiously to build a new bridge. But during the time that the new bridge would be built, wouldn't that be at least as disruptive to Masmoka and other businesses as this would be?
It has that potential, like,
It seems like that would be more disruptive because you're building a whole new bridge, and so you'd be, it seems like it would impact Masmoka even more for that period of time, and maybe that period of time wouldn't happen for a few years, but if it happened sooner rather than later, it just seems like it would be very disruptive.
I don't think they're talking about a new bridge, they're talking about removing this bridge, complete demolition is what the R2OS is. Complete demolition, which, again, anything that's gotta be moved, any of these sculptures, yeah, it would have to be moved for that too.
thank you for your comment.
Is there money in place, if we were not to go ahead with this plan, is there money in place to implement the other plan of complete demolition of the bridge and enact all of those policies?
They build bridges, they don't rip them down.
But for the other plan that's being advocated, no.
I think it's in a different stage in the process. And so essentially what is being presented here is there a period of time that's more reasonable in which we can make effective decisions with our spending so we don't overinvest in securing a future that is not necessarily the future, it's like definitive.
You want to get your R2OS done, done the right way. So this, this project does allow you to have some time to, have the bridge safe for the motorists and complete your study and, provide the funding as we mentioned.
I believe the study is done next month, or not after. So we don't need 25 years.
Any other questions, please?
I just wanted to make thank you very much for all of your time and for listening to all of the questions.
No, thank you, they're fabulous questions.
Thank
and
you very, very
we're
much
here
for
you.
listening, and I think it's all about listening and really appreciate it. And I just, for the record, I just wanted to mention the historic devastation that this particular bridge caused to the community of North Adams, because it's over 200 families were removed, and this bridge split the city of North Adams into two parts, causing an irreparable devastation, the echoes of which we're still experiencing now. So I wanted to put it in context, because these effects of urban renewal affected the economies in cities like North Adams that are in desperate need for revitalization. So this is why this is such an emotional topic, because really, this bridge is viewed by many people, maybe not overwhelming, or I think, from my personal experience, certainly overwhelming. Everybody I know in North Adams knows about the devastating harm that this bridge caused. But just for you guys to know how difficult it is for us, for people who live in North Adams, to even listen to even apprehend of a possibility that this monstrosity is going to last for 25 more years. That's just for the record.
Well,
I'd just like to say something. For the record, my father lost a restaurant in downtown North Adams during urban renewal. So I know what the impact is. But we can't turn the clock back on that and what happened there. But I don't think that's what they're here for. We're here to see how we can keep this bridge open, but to allow the dream that's being developed out there to continue on. I think that's the important thing here. We don't want to sever that, because that's what could happen, I think. That's the important thing. But you're right about urban renewal. It moved a lot of people off a place called Bank Street. And that area up through there. Pardon?
In Ryan's Lane.
In Ryan's Lane, a few others. And they all moved out of there. 4,000 people actually were impacted, my numbers.
Thank you so much for all your, yes.
So I'm just thinking about the process going forward. I know that there's a comment period. Are the comments published publicly, posted somewhere so that people could see what comments came to you?
We have a stenographer here tonight, and once I get...
But if people submit written comments, right, isn't there a 60-day period for submitting
10
written
days.
comments?
10 days.
Oh, 10. So if there are written comments submitted, that, how would the public have access to written comments?
You can talk to your mayor, you can submit questions or comments to the website that I had on the slide here at the end.
So
I think
written
she's
comments are
asking,
not
she's
public
asking if
Go ahead.
other people send in questions, is there a way for the public to see those questions?
Right.
I do
And
not have,
typically there is not.
I do not have a website for the project, no. Sorry about that.
Okay,
I apologize.
no gold stars for openness and transparency on that one. What opportunities will there be for dialogue going forward with the public, such as this?
I could have another public information meeting if you'd like.
Seems like an excellent idea.
So as we say, we're here to just preserve the bridge. We're not part of the R2S study. Whatever's deteriorated, that's what we're looking to repair.
But a number of issues were raised tonight that would have to do with your plan to proceed, not whether the bridge should be taken down. Let's put that aside. Just say, if you're gonna go forward, there are issues that I think the public would want to be informed about, have the opportunity to give you feedback on, like you got tonight, and have it in a more open forum and communication process, so that there is a sense that we are working with you. It's not just the mayor, it's all of us who are gonna be impacted by this and who, wanna be part of this conversation.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify, Morgan Everett from MassMocha. The comment period is 10 calendar days?
Yes.
When does that clock start?
Tonight.
Wow, okay.
So just for clarity, I believe, and we're all a little rusty on in-person public hearings, but it's great to be here. That we will accept public comments after 10 days, but that 10 days is the cutoff for public comment to be part of the official record, which will be compiled. There's a little bit of a delay in publishing that to our website because it does now have to go through a accessibility review and make sure that everything we post is accessible. But if you found the public hearing tonight on our website, the transcript will end up on at that same location after the 10-day period closes. And if you didn't find out about this on our website, there is a website. I always just Google Mass DOT public hearings, and you will find the North Adams hearing on that calendar.
There's a link in the iBurgers article that connects you guys.
Good.
It's at the bottom of the article.
Jen Falk, resident of North Adams as well as with MassMocha. Just curious if there was an end date by which this funding that we're discussing, this $18 million, is made available to repair this bridge. Is there a date, a specific date in which that funding will need to be either reallocated or spent?
This is programmed for a tip year. If it doesn't meet that tip year, it could be lost completely.
At what date is the tip year?
So the tip year is programmed for next year, I
For
believe.
26 or 27?
26, and so if it's not advertised by September of next year.
September of 2026?
Yep.
This is the federal fiscal year, right?
Yes.
Any other questions? Well, thank you all, those great questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.